My name is Isabella Gray, and if you had asked me 5 years ago what mattered most in life, I would have said money without hesitation. I believed money could fix everything: pain, heartbreak, loneliness, even love. I thought people with enough money never suffered, never cried, never begged. I thought money meant peace, but I was wrong. I grew up in a small town that smelled of dust and sweat. My father worked at a steel factory. His hands always burned and blackened, and my mother stitched clothes for neighbors to make ends meet. We lived in a house with cracked walls and leaky ceilings, where dinner was sometimes just bread and tea. Every night, I would lie awake and swear to myself that one day I'd escape, that I'd never live like that again. When I earned a scholarship to study business in New York, it felt like freedom. I stepped into that city like it was another planet: bright lights, tall buildings, expensive perfumes in the air. I wanted that life. I wanted the kind of comfort that money brings. I wanted to never count coins again. That's when I met Ethan Blake. He was studying architecture, quiet, warm, and endlessly patient. Ethan was the kind of man who found joy in simple things: the sunset over the Hudson, the sound of rain on the window, a cup of cheap coffee shared between two people who cared. We met at the campus library when I dropped my notebook, and he helped pick up my scattered notes. He smiled at me that day, and I swear it was the kind of smile that makes you feel seen for the first time. Ethan wasn't rich, but he had something money couldn't buy: peace. He believed in hard work, in small dreams, in love that lasts. We started dating, and for a while, I thought maybe I could live like that, in simplicity, with someone who truly loved me. He would walk me home every evening, tell me stories about the buildings he dreamed of designing. Once he said, "Bella, one day I'll build us a house, not big, not fancy, but one that feels like home." But the problem was I didn't just want a home. I wanted the world. One night, my roommate invited me to a charity gala downtown, a place filled with billionaires and celebrities. I wore a borrowed gown and heels that hurt my feet. But when I entered that room, I felt like I'd stepped into another universe. Gold lights, champagne, laughter, it was intoxicating. That's where I met Liam Carter, the son of a famous businessman. Tall, confident, with eyes that looked like they'd seen the whole world and still wanted more. He was everything Ethan wasn't: powerful, wealthy, magnetic. He noticed me instantly. He said, "You don't belong here, but that's what makes you stand out." And in that moment I fell not in love, but into temptation. Liam called me the next day, then again. And again, he sent flowers to my dorm, took me to restaurants that served meals costing more than my rent. He made me feel like a princess, and I got addicted to that feeling, to being seen, admired, envied. Ethan noticed the change in me. He grew quieter, sadder. One night he asked, "You're slipping away from me, aren't you?" I couldn't look him in the eye. I didn't answer, because he was right. A week later, I ended things with him. I told myself it was for the best, that I couldn't spend my life struggling with a man who had dreams but no money. Liam was the future, glittering, secure, beautiful. I moved into his world and left Ethan behind like a forgotten memory. For a while, I thought I had won. I had the life I always wanted: designer clothes, luxury vacations, a car with my name on the plate. People envied me. I looked happy in photos. But inside, something was missing. Liam was charming, yes, but also distant. He liked control over everything, including me. He decided what I wore, who I talked to, where I went. He said he loved me, but his love felt like a cage wrapped in silk. Months turned into years. The excitement faded, replaced by silence and emptiness. I stopped laughing the way I used to. I started missing the sound of Ethan's voice, his stupid jokes, the warmth in his eyes. But it was too late. Ethan had moved on, or at least I thought he had. One winter evening, Liam and I attended another high-profile party. He spent the night talking business while I wandered around with a fake smile. That's when I saw Ethan across the room. He looked different, older, confident, successful. He was now a well-known architect, being congratulated for a new project he designed for the city. He caught my eyes for a second, and my heart stopped. He smiled politely, the way you do to strangers. That hurt more than anything. Later that night, I found him standing outside on the balcony, looking at the city lights. I gathered the courage to walk up to him. "Ethan," I whispered. He turned, his eyes calm but distant. "Isabella," he said softly, "it's been a long time." I didn't know what to say. Every apology I have rehearsed suddenly felt useless. "You made it," I said. "I always knew you would." He smiled faintly. "And you got what you wanted to." I looked down. I thought I did. We stood there in silence for a moment before he said, "You know, I used to think money was the reason I lost you. But now I know you were chasing something that didn't even exist." His words cut deep because they were true. I wanted to tell him I still loved him, that I would trade everything to go back, but he was already walking away. That night, I cried for the first time in years. Not because of what I'd lost, but because I finally understood what I'd thrown away. Money had given me everything I once dreamed of except peace, except love. It had brought me comfort, but not connection. It had given me things to wear, but nothing to feel. Months later, my relationship with Liam ended. He moved on to another woman, younger and hungrier for luxury than I ever was. I was left with an empty apartment, a bank account full of money, and a heart full of regret. I tried reaching out to Ethan once. I sent him a message, but he never replied. Maybe he had forgiven me. Maybe not, but I knew he was right. I had chased gold and lost something priceless. Now, whenever I walk past couples holding hands on the street, laughing over cheap coffee, I think of him. I think of how I once had everything that truly mattered and how I threw it away because I thought money would fill the void in me. It never did. Sometimes I visit the small park where we used to sit after class. I sit on the same bench, close my eyes, and imagine his voice beside me. And every time the same thought crosses my mind: money can buy comfort, but only love can make life worth living. Because in the end, when everything fades, the clothes, the cars, the glitter, all that remains is the person who holds your hand when the lights go out. And I let that person go.